Hey, it's Matt. Today I want to do something a little different. This is going to be more of a stream format if you're watching this. So it'll be raw, it'll be unedited. You're going to be watching me build live. And this is with an idea I had about 15 minutes ago. So I was doing something and then I was like, wait, why haven't I fixed this workflow? Because it's really bad. And so I'm going to use Replit. We're going to break it down. We're going to fix it. I'm going to walk through everything that I do normally, my thought process, etc. So we'll cut over to my idea. I need to create a UTM parameter generator. I should be able to paste the link and it should attach UTM params for me. I should also be able to save and reaccess those params using auth in a database. I want to save presets and auto-save the links I generate because I often forget. The flow should be optimized for creating, saving, and viewing saved links as easily as possible. We're going to start building this, and then I'm going to talk about why I went with this prompt and what brought me to this idea. Because I think it's interesting. And I think this is really common for folks just in their day-to-day, these types of workflows. And notice that third paragraph, I would like to save presets and auto-save the links because I always forget to do this. And so this is not only a non-optimal workflow, it's a workflow that's so non-optimal that I forget to save information. So we're going to build a modern web app. It's going to have a database, Replit Auth, ShadCN. I'm going to talk about what these things are and why we're doing this. I'm going to break it all down. I just want to kick off this agent run. So what I'm doing now is if you don't know about UTMs, when you post a link, you can add these parameters on the end. I'll show you an example. This is my current workflow, and we'll talk about this. Well, you can add these parameters on the end that basically tell you where your visitors are coming from if you're using a tracking software. So when I post links, I'll add these so I can understand how well my content is performing. I can understand the metrics that it's driving and make sure that, I'm doing my job in creating useful content. And so this workflow that I have is just a Google Sheet that I copied from a Google Sheet somebody else sent me. And I basically paste in a raw link and then I'll change these parameters or whatever to get my UTM params. And before you start telling me, Matt, using your name as a UTM source, that's not valid. Using, these are wrong parameters. I don't care. We're vibe marketing. We're just doing it. So we're going to build something cool. The problem is that I forget to do this. I paste in malformed links. I reuse. I just don't use this properly because the workflow is so bad. So what we're going to do here is we're going to build something that is 10 times better, that makes my workflow much simpler. And then we're going to add Replit Auth. We're going to add a database so I can log in, save these links the right way, do this the right way. First thing Agent always does when we kick off a run, if you're new here, is it generates a visual preview. So this is what our app might look like. It's pretty responsive, pretty mobile friendly, which is good because I'll probably be using this on my phone as a progressive web app as well. I think that's something we might add support for here. But Agent always builds a visual preview first. This actually helps with the performance of the model. We get better outputs when we do a visual preview, which is something we've seen. And then from there, it's going to start actually writing the code. That's once it's done with the visual preview. So some things I like to explain about Agent is that, this is going to generate a full working application in our environment. We shouldn't need to write any code. And I'm liking the way this is looking. Presets for Facebook campaign, basically source, medium, and then campaign. So I think what I'm going to want to do here, though, is one of the things I do a lot is with the way I use these is I'll say this came from Twitter, or this came from YouTube, this came from LinkedIn or whatever, and I'll post the same link in multiple places. So what I want to be able to do is I want to be able to generate links with multiple sources. So say x.com/MattPPal, follow me on X. I want that to have UTM source, Matt, UTM, medium. So X and LinkedIn and YouTube, and then UTM, campaign. And the reason I'm typing this out right now, this might seem a little redundant or silly that I'm just using this text box, is that I'm actually just thinking through the problem space. I'm thinking through my workflow. Okay, what do? Well, I go in here and I'll paste a link And then I'll say like, okay, I'm posting this expo thing on Twitter, but then it's also going on LinkedIn. So I'll do the same thing and I'll copy this down, or maybe I won't because this is kind of redundant and I'll forget. And then I have incorrect UTM information, and then I'll have this thing. And so really what I want to do is save this link. I want to have my source, I want to have my campaign, and then I want to generate multiple mediums. And just explaining this to you all, right, is making me realize that I didn't even explain it to agent properly. And I want to be able I want to be able to add multiple mediums to a link while keeping the source and campaign the same. So say x.com, I don't really even need that UTM source mat, UTM medium X, and LinkedIn, and UTM campaign. This is also where I could ask agent, maybe we start doing this the right way. What's the proper, are these the right fields for these values? Use what you know about social media management to help me optimize my workflow. And you can also see here, agent is starting to write out these different files. So we're going to be adding auth with Replit Auth, which is now default in your applications. We're going to be adding a Postgres database so we can store these. So we're going to be adding login, ideally, all in one shot. Normally, I wouldn't make such a big jump, but agent's been getting so good lately that I thought, why not just YOLO it for the stream? And yeah, so ideally, I'm going to be able to paste in this link. We're going to be able to apply a preset, change some of these, and then when I click generate, it'll auto save to my list of generated links. And then I could potentially reuse these. I kind of like the design here. This is kind of nice. We might go for something that's a little bit I don't know what this is, but we might go for something a bit more minimalist, but this is rather utilitarian. I don't really care what this looks like. I care that it does the job and is better than my really hacky Google spreadsheet here. So we'll see if we can get something that's better. And again, Replit's going to build out a full stack app here. We have a client, we have a server, so it's going to be front end, back end. Front end is going to be communicating with the back end. We're going to be storing these links in a Postgres database. We don't have to worry about setting the database up, SQL injection, anything like that. The database is configured securely to only communicate with the backend, which is one of the nice things about vibe coding securely on Replit. It's just kind of building apps the right way. So I'll be able to send this link out. You'll be able to use this quote unquote product, right, that we're building and hopefully deploying here today as well. But this usually takes the first run for a complicated app like this. Usually takes 10 minutes or so, maybe less. It's cranking through these components pretty quick, but I did ask for a lot. So what are some other things about Replit? I want to point out, I think it's important, we've really been working hard on our checkpoint interface. So think about checkpoints like a video game, right? They're like checkpoints or save points in a video game. When you get to that point, it kind of takes the stress off of the game, right? Because you don't have to worry about dying or getting reset all the way back to the beginning of the game. You know that from that point, you can branch out. You can try something new. You can make a push to the next checkpoint. And so an idea I've been kind of exploring is that these checkpoints are exactly like that. And building with AI is exactly like kind of this game, right? Because what we're doing is we're saying, okay, I like where the app is at this point. An agent's going to make these checkpoints as it does major things, right? And so when we get to a checkpoint we like, we're saying, I like the state of the application here. And I'm going to make, I can now experiment and try to implement more without worrying about losing my progress. And a lot of people worry about losing their progress. But we have our V1 here. Let's see what we got. So we'll get rid of the stock images. I don't like these, but we'll click login. We get our auth redirect. You can't see it here because of the stream, but I got redirected to the auth login window. And then it's going to drop me back. We get my app. Now everybody knows my email. Very cool. And we have our param generator. So let's see what we got here. We'll do https://x.com/matt.pal. Follow me on X. No preset. Source, Matt. Medium, YouTube. Campaign, Matt does a hacky video. Cool. Advanced parameters. Team. Term. I don't know anything about this stuff, so we can save it as a preset. I don't want to do that. There's nowhere to actually generate the link, which is like comical. We'll save it as a preset. It should auto-populate these. All right, okay, so this is next. Typically what I'll do is I'll cut that out. There's no button to generate the link. But the way I want this to work is the link should auto-generate, update, and when I click copy, we should save it to my account. Remove the stock imagery. I really don't like the stock imagery. By the way, the stock imagery has improved a lot. We've actually shipped a lot of updates to make stock images better and make the appearance overall much better when you're building apps that should feature stock imagery. I just don't want stock images in this application. I'll make the link auto-generate update as you type. Add a copy button, saves the link to your account, and remove any stock imagery. Cool. So it's actually a common flow where I'm workshopping ideas in the prompt box and then shipping them. And then I'll just like bring that idea back because I know this is like what I want to work on next. And I'll continue workshopping that idea. It would probably work better if I used something less ephemeral, like a Notion doc or something, but this is just kind of how I do it right now. So yeah, we're going to remove the stock images, hopefully add this updates. And then the auth integration looks really good. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll just check these individual elements because we added a lot to this app, right? We have auth. So if I go to auth, you can take a look here. There's my user. We have a database. So I'll go to the database often while it's like implementing this next feature and check out the data. So we can click see my data and I can like see users. We have my user, sessions. We have a session. And then presets and links. So this is like a pretty, I think, relevant database schema. It's always good to check and kind of like check your understanding of the database schema. I'll do a video later about how to think about items in a database because I worked professionally as a data analyst and a data engineer. So I understand relational data. And I think it's actually a core concept of vibe coding since so many of these applications have relational databases now. And so there are ways to think about the database structure or to prompt AI to get a good database structure most people don't know about. And sometimes, Sana will just like throw in kind of random database stuff. So always good to check. Now, it looks like it's taking screenshots and restarting our app. So that means usually edits are done. Okay, seems to be the same. We'll go with this guy. Matt, Medium, YouTube. Matt does a hacky video. Okay, there we go. I like that. That's kind of what I wanted. Also, remove the user email from the top nav. Check. And the rest of this guy. Actually, we'll just ship this right now while I test this. And then we'll queue this guy up. Generated link. If I copy that, link copied, saved. Okay, there are two toasts, which I don't like. There are duplicate toast messages for copy save. So we'll reduce that. And then database, what we'll check is links. We got my link, got the URL, source, medium, campaign, term, content. That's right. This is all the data I would want to see for this. That looks good. There are duplicate toasts. Move the log out button to log out under a drop down from the user profile. I think it's more clean to just have my profile icon up here, and then I want to move this log out into a drop down. Let's test this out again. Preset. We'll create a new preset too to make sure that's working. Matt does a hacky video. I don't want to lose that. Nice. So the cool thing is that it populated the preset off of the details that I added, which I like. There's no button to save the preset, which is okay. We're making progress. There's no button to save the preset. The cool thing, I've actually been testing this with Agent, is I can just send this. And while it's implementing these fixes, I can trust that it's going to continue doing that. And I'm semi-confident in this because these are small updates. I wouldn't like start sending in really big pieces of information. However, I think Agent's good enough at this point that it can like handle these like concurrent small tasks. So ship that. I like this. Save it as a preset. Again, there's no button to actually save that. Okay, so it made this more prominent, but it didn't actually add the button. In the save as preset dialog, there's no actual save button. Now notice, right, what I had to do. I started high level. I said, there's no button to save this thing. And Agent tried a fix. The fix didn't actually work. And so now what I'm doing is I'm drilling down. Okay, well, in the dialog, there's no button. And I'm seeing if Agent will recognize, hey, he wasn't actually talking about this other thing. He was talking about specifically this other piece. And now it seems like it might be picking that up. And then from there, if it still didn't implement that fix, I might use our element selector to like actually, I probably should have done that in the first place. But sometimes we forget. So with the element selector, what you can do is, right, select this thing, the dialog footer, and it probably would have known exactly what I'm talking about. So there's a huge L for me as an educator using the wrong functionality in our app, but that's what we'll do next time. Let's test this out again. Source, Matt, Medium, YouTube, campaign, Matt does hacky video, YouTube. Boom. I also like this kind of recent links dialog. This is nice. The spacing is off on some of these buttons, but that's like very much a nice to have that I'd follow up with. I also think this flow is a little weird, right? I enter my UTM params and stuff, and then the generated link appears below here, but then there are two CTAs. I can create a preset here, and I can create a preset here, and then clicking this gives me another workflow. So I think that like if I'm thinking about my own workflow, I want to save the preset after I enter the values. So I actually think this is the right spot for this, but it should be next to generated link. So it should be generated link, save as preset, and then we should be able to remove this create new button altogether from the top. So that's maybe a little bit more of a complicated follow-up. And again, I'm saving this prompt because I think about this as like more advanced functionality. I'm like branching off and creating something completely new, but I want to finish polishing this MVP first before we like dive into that branching and like starting on a new feature. So in my brain, I'm thinking, okay, we're kind of working on the same kind of feature set, the same functionality, which is why I'm in the same chat and we're continuing to iterate here. And then eventually what I want to do is move off and then do this thing. I don't know what it's referring to with these unauthorized errors in the chat. Sometimes I'll check the console to see what's going on. Looks like it tried to auth my user and it got unauthorized for some reason. So the cool thing is Agent can actually see the console just like we can. So that's what it's doing right now. It's like, oh, hey, that's weird. We probably shouldn't be getting that. And now it just fixed it. So we're good there. And now I lost kind of my train of thought. Yeah, let's fix the workflow. So we'll actually use the element selector. Remove this button and think about the user's workflow. We should first create our URL, then save/copy, save preset /copy link. So what that means is that after we go through the creation flow, the follow-up dialog, currently what has the link copy should contain information and CTAs and buttons for copying, saving the links, and saving presets. I think that pretty much covers it. Again, we're being really logical. I'm explaining to LLM, I'm explaining to agent exactly what I want to happen and kind of even how I'm thinking about it so that it has more context into what I'm trying to build. And I use the element selector to select a specific element. I'm really trying to make sure that it understands the changes that I'm making. And it's actually talking to you all is really useful for that because I'm verbalizing what I want to build and how that would work. And let's see what it says. First, creating the URL, then having options to save preset or copy link. And so hopefully I'm using Agent as a design partner, as a junior developer to help me workshop these ideas and change the way my application looks. And so after it does this, I think I'll move on to implementing. Hey, look at that. You get a nice little hover state on that button there. That's cute. Implementing these. Yeah. Otherwise, I hope this video is coming through. This is the first time I've ever done a video in this format, and I pay a lot of attention to the quality of my videos. So hopefully like the background removal is good. We're really YOLOing this and just testing it out because I'm a wannabe streamer now. Yeah, we'll keep workshopping that. Let's modify the components. And then, like for more advanced projects, I've been working on a side project lately. I really like to start learning about how this application is structured. So in typical React setups, you have a client, you have a server. We're writing all of this in React and TypeScript. But in source, we're defining components, pages, app, main page. And so it's like fundamentals of web development. Our main page is just going to be rendering our app. And then our app is the layout of the homepage. And so there's all this stuff going on in here, but the individual elements in these pages are defined as components. And so when agent says, hey, if I go back up, where did it go? I'm editing the UTM builder form. I'll come in here and I'll say, oh, well, what does that look like? Well, what can I learn about this form by poking around in this file? I can actually see save link. It's not even used. So this could lead to errors down the line. This is part of building with LLMs, right? Like the code is messy. This is not, agent's going to keep getting better. It's not written by a professional experienced software dev, it's a junior software dev. So sometimes it makes mistakes, so we have to correct those. But the most important thing is that right now this is working. And that's the amazing thing about building with AI. So let's take a look at what we got. Okay, so now we don't see anything. If we go through this, no presets, Matt, YouTube, the empty state. Side note, if I had real users on this app, this empty state is not good. Matt does a hacky video, boom, generated link, open link, copy. Open link does not open the link. So this is why we have to check. Okay, so we'll copy this. We'll say open link is broken. It opens, boom. Agent should know how to fix that. The generate link dialog does not have a place to save a preset. Agent should get that one shot. And then I think those are good for follow-ups. Keep that there, close that. And then other things I like to do, I have a pretty high zoom on for this video for you all. So I like to go here and see what it looks like on a wider layout just to start checking the responsiveness. I think this is fine. If I zoom out, yeah. Right. And then what we can do even more is we can come in here and take a look and say, like, what does this look like on an iPhone? I think the mobile layout could be improved because this is like kind of large. I would expect, I want to be able to do more stuff without having to scroll. Like ideally, if I could generate the entire app in this initial CTA or in this initial card rather, that would be nice. But this is very much nice to have. So I'm not going to worry about it too much. And that was actually what we saw earlier, was that save as preset button, that function in our React wasn't being used. Let's see if maybe that was the issue. It's kind of funny. I noticed it in the code, and then we saw it. Save a link. It's actually save a link that's not being used, so that's probably something else. I'm sure we'll run into that as we test here. Matt does hacky video. Link. Nice. Copy. Save to account. It didn't notice we didn't have the duplicate toast. We have both of these links. Interestingly, let's see what this looks like, because these are duplicates. We get ID. So what we might do here, it would be, this is kind of advanced functionality. We add a step that checks duplicates. So you do a duplicate check on the full URL and not save it, or notify the user that they already did that, created that UTM. That's a kind of follow-up. There is no save as preset button. Okay, now we're going to fix this save as preset button thing, because that's ticking me off. We'll use the element selector again. We'll say it should be in this card. And then in terms of functionality, what I'm thinking is next we move on to this UTM stuff. And then what I would want is to change the design of this and some of the copy. But that's usually kind of a last step. Obviously, change the name, maybe add like an emoji kind of icon to make it like cute or whatever, because that's just how I roll. I like this login, log out functionality. Probably want to think about redesigning the homepage. But that's how these simple projects for me kind of go, is I build something that works, I get to an MVP, and then we start polishing it up. We start making something beautiful. We start making something we can share with people. And then usually a final step is thinking through security stuff, right? So like, are the requests safe? Like, can people hit these APIs? Can they like mess around with my stuff? Because I'm, I get into trouble every now and then. I'm a mischievous guy. I know other people are too. And so we want to make sure that we're building secure apps and building apps that everyone can use and that are kind of hard for people. Whoa. Agent was like, yo, you're not going to miss this thing. Okay, chill on the red CTAs. Remove the red border and make... I've literally never seen that before. That's so great. Remove the red border and make the save button less prominent. Copy should be the main value, like call to action. Yeah, we'll save this as a preset test. Dude. I don't know what to say. I forgot about this one. This is the joys of vibe coding. Okay, so clicking the save as preset dialog should, oh no, so we will need to give it a name, I think. I guess we could auto-generate a name. I'm trying to think, I use the campaign as the name, actually, now that I think about it. Right, like the campaign should be unique. Okay, now I can't actually, okay, so we get the copy link, save as preset. Does this save it? Okay, cool, so we saved it. That actually works for me. I like that. This is like clean. Clicking the save as preset dialog should save the link. Also, I just realized I completely erased that prompt. This is the issue of using the prompt box as like a next prompt thing by clicking that copy link, because now I don't have my I don't have my prompt. We're doing it live. We're having fun. Clicking the save as preset dialog should save the link as a preset with the title being the UTM campaign. Yeah, that's good. Okay, now we can recreate the prompt that we had before. So I want to be able to generate multiple values on Medium for a given UTM source and campaign. Also notice, like, this is a good exercise because now I'm able to express myself in a much more concise way. Like before I was kind of like figuring out what I wanted to say. Now I'm like, this is what I want to be able to do, and I can be super direct with it. That's actually really good for LLMs. I want to be able to generate multiple values on Medium for a given UTM source and campaign. We can I get distracted. So we're going to come over here. We'll test this out. Matt, YouTube, hacky video, generate a link, boom, save as preset. Yep. There should not be another dialogue. You should just save it. So I'm trying to get around the point of prompting to fix that dialogue and just saving it. I want to be able to generate multiple values on Medium for a given UTM source and campaign. E.g. I supply the URL, the source, and the campaign. I supply multiple Medium values, and we generate multiple links, URLs. Think about an elegant way for this flow to work, and also how we can save things, or also how we save things. This gets into like database structure, right? Because basically what I want to do is I want to redefine these links to be at the campaign level. I guess what I'm trying to say, right? Like in our database, these links should be, like each entry I want to be a campaign. And then that campaign should have links. So in a campaign, there are links, and there are multiple links for a campaign, and those links can have different values. I want to be able to generate multiple values on Medium for a given UTM source and campaign. Think about how an elegant way for this flow to work, and also how we save things. Essentially, I want a campaigns table. We're really getting to the correct. This is vibe coding. We're working through like relational data here. I want a campaigns table, and that should tie to presets and links. When I save a preset, that should save a campaign. Given how we are thinking about these links and how basically how I think about the data. I want to be able to generate multiple values on Medium for a given UTM source and campaign. I should supply multiple Medium values, and we generate multiple URLs. Think about an elegant way for this flow to work, and also how we save things. I want a campaigns table. When I save a preset, that should save a campaign, given how we're thinking about these links and how I think about the data. Campaigns should be our central sort of data structure on which the entire app is built. This is going to be a pretty heavy edit. I just kind of shipped this one because I was like getting really excited about it. It probably will break the app, just given what I know about modifying data structures, but it might also work because this is a pretty simple CRUD app. Yep, and that was dumb because saving as presets host. Okay, I just didn't get a toast, but it looks like we got our preset saved. Be sure to show a toast on save as preset that's similar to the toast for copying, saving a link. Okay. Agent knows that I'm going off the rails here. This is a significant shift in how we're thinking about the data model, but it makes a lot of sense. Look at that. Agent's also glazing me up about my approach to data modeling. Campaigns is the core entity. Campaigns can have multiple mediums. Campaign medium creates a link. User select a campaign. They add multiple mediums to generate multiple links at once. The UI will display a table list of all generated links for that campaign. Okay, now we're going to do crazy stuff. We're going to update database schemas, and it's going to totally blow everything up. LLM chains of thought they're fascinating to see what's going on. Create a campaign, add multiple mediums to that campaign, generate multiple UTM links at once, one for each medium. And this is like my favorite part of vibe coding, right? Like I literally was posting a link on Twitter or making a Twitter thread or whatever, and I opened up my UTM tracker and I was just like, why am I doing this? This is so dumb. I hate the spreadsheet. The spreadsheet makes my life miserable. I'm being dramatic, of course, but it's recognizing, I think it's getting in this mindset of like, I don't have to do this flow anymore. This flow is bad and I can fix it. And I can sit down in 30 minutes and fix it with you all. And I can also record a video and put it on YouTube so other people can learn how to fix it. And that is what vibe coding is. That's like the era that we're living in. This era of you can just fix things. You can just ship things. And I think it's easy to fall back to the mindset of like, oh, I can't change it, or oh, someone needs to release a product that does this thing. But the outstanding thing is that that is not true any longer. And so as soon as you see something, as soon as you have an idea, you should write it down. You should go to Replit and just type the prompt in and see what agent comes up with as a first run, because it could validate that idea. It could like prove that this is something worth working on. It could prove that more other people have the same idea as you. Other people have the same frustrations as you. And so I'm a huge advocate. This is like my job. This is like what I do for work now, of just like trying things, of like experimenting, of trying to build, of thinking logically, of walking through these steps. Because I think the way people ship product, the way that people think about solving problems is going to change. I think the solutions we see are going to change because more people are going to be doing stuff like this. So that's the end of my mid-video rant on that sort of thing. We can see what's going on here. It looks like most of what's happening here is pretty heavy database work, and it hasn't really even pushed these updates. So my guess is going to be that agent is just like rewriting our database schema, which I think, let's poke around here. Yeah. So we want to see what's going on. We use Drizzle ORM, which is a library. I forget what ORM stands for. I'm getting put on the spot, but it helps us manage our database in code. And so you can see we're defining a users table. Now we have this core data structure campaigns table that we're adding. And this is going to link out to these different items. So we're getting pretty heavy into database design and database structure. And you know, it's funny because I do take this for granted because of, you know, I have a background in data. But what we're doing is we're saying like, what are the entities in our applications? What are the objects? It's kind of object oriented in our applications. And how do I think about the way that those objects relate to each other? It's a very different type of thinking. I have campaigns and campaigns tied to links. And you're thinking in like a row-based kind of way. And I think it'll take me a little while to flesh out how I think about these things, but I do want to create some content that explains how these things work and explains like, all of the nuances behind them and how I think about data modeling. But the cool thing about data modeling, you know, is it used to be a very static exercise. Like if you're building a production application, it gets very hard to change the data model once you like ship something and like hundreds or millions of people are using it. But because I'm just using this, I can do a huge pivot on my data model like mid-app, right? Like we're streaming this, I'm like 30 minutes in or whatever, and I'm like, hey, actually, let's just like ship a different data model. Like let's just freaking do it. And that's what we're doing. So yeah, this is actually a really gnarly change. Let's just say you can drop the database and not worry about compatibility. What I noticed is agent is like for backward compatibility during transition, I don't care. I just have test links in there. Like we can just drop it. And so I wanted to kind of interject because I started to sense that it was going down a path that might not be a happy path. And typically what I do is, if I see that, is I'll interject. If that doesn't work, I'll create a new chat. I'll stop, create a new chat if we notice that agent's going kind of off the rails. There you go. Simple as good. And so those are some ways I kind of avoid those unhappy paths. But the other thing, this is another video I'm going to make at some point, is people get attached to things. This is like a loss aversion type thing. This is like behavioral psychology, perhaps. Like I like this. I like this app that I built. It works. And I would be very afraid of losing this and losing, the time and the money that I invested into building this if it disappeared and if I deleted it or if agent made some kind of really bad change. And so one way to get around that is checkpoints. So like, if this broke, I could go back here, roll back, try this again. But another way to get around it is that like fundamentally I'm re-architecting the backend and the database structure of this application. And I've actually figured out a more efficient way, a more efficient workflow for how I want this app to work based on things I learned while I was building it. So what I could do, honestly, if I sat down and wrote up a description and wrote up a wireframe and took a screenshot, it would be better than the process I'm going through now. And I could do this in 30 minutes. I could do this honestly, I would bet I could do this in 3 prompts. I could go from idea to the same application. And so do not underestimate the power of understanding the problem space as you refine and starting over. People don't want to hear that, but don't underestimate the power of starting over. And I say this, even in my experience in software engineering, right? Maybe you write a data pipeline or you write a piece of software and you realize at the end that you're doing things in a circuitous way. You're doing things that are duplicative and you need to rewrite that code. Sometimes it's better literally just to re-architect the app, especially if you spent a couple hours on it. Don't think about that as wasted time. Think about it as a learning experience. And one application that I have, I can show it to you here while Agent is doing this, Dither Studio. So there's this technique for editing images called dithering. And basically, like this is just a cowboy in like Utah or something. Dithering is applying these pixel effects. I'll share this out with everybody. At some point, I kind of like fell off of this project. And so what I did was I built this interactive tool for dithering images that I think is pretty cool. And I like it a lot. And it works really well. Like the workflow is really fun. But I actually built this from scratch twice. So I built it the first time and I didn't like the UI at all. Like the UI was bad. The workflow was bad. And then I rebuilt it, updated my prompt. That's crazy. Updated my prompt, and then I got something that was really good. So again, don't underestimate the power of just starting from scratch because now I really love this this tool, and that can be useful. Okay, we did it. We did it. So I'm going to open this in a new tab because this is such a big change that I want to see. In all glory, I want you all to see me fail or whatever happens here. Apply preset, no presets. Matt, YouTube. This looks exactly like the workflow before. Okay, I have no idea how this changed. What did it do? Did we? Oh boy, we might have got agent off the wrong track. This all works. This is great. Maybe I shouldn't have been interjecting random shit into my. Okay, whatever. Let's. So this is an example of things not always working. What I'll do is I'll create a new chat since this is getting pretty crazy. Feel free to drop the DB and recreate. There is no important data. So again, this is a good checkpoint because my app works. Like it's at a point, right, where I really like this. It actually is already better than my workflow because I could just change this, copy this, and now like, again, I have a better workflow. And I have this preset. Said my preset's been applied, but I actually didn't see that might be broken. Anyway, very good workflow. I really like this. We know the checkpoint, like I can look here in the Git tab to check out the checkpoints, or, like if I went to history here, we've actually worked really hard on improving this checkpoints view to see all the different checkpoints that we've been to. You can even click preview and this will open up the exact instance of that chat. So what's going on? Because we're in a new chat, agent kind of needs to relearn the app. So it's like looking through everything. And now it's going to do what we just did before. Again, if I was building this from scratch, which I might at the end of this video, I think I would completely re-architect the data structure from the start in the initial prompt. But that's like one of those things. I think this is the amazing thing about product. Since we're doing live streams, I'll just start ranting on random stuff here. The amazing thing about product is that to learn the product, to understand the product, you actually have to do the flow, right? Like to know what's going on here, to know what would be better, I actually have to use the product. And, that's what it means to create great products. And I think that's what it means to vibe code, because when you vibe code, when you build things, you are the product manager, you are the engineer, you're the designer. And so you have to really think critically about what you're building, who you're building it for, how it works, and then how you want that user experience to look. And, largely it's just being really freaking pedantic and really freaking, in the weeds and having crazy attention to detail what we're doing here. Because I am going through this thing and I'm saying, actually, what would save me 5 minutes? What would save me 10 seconds in this workflow? What would make my life a little bit easier? What would make this better? Honestly, a better UI would make this better. Maybe I like dark mode. Maybe I'm a dark mode guy. And so, what we're doing in this process is just having crazy attention to detail and being crazy, in the weeds about what we're building. And that's okay, and it's okay to experiment. It's okay to break things and fail. I fail all the time. We might fail with this complete overhaul, but we might also start again. And I probably won't probably keep this one short. I probably won't show you the entire re-architecting process because this isn't a 2-hour stream. I actually have things to do today. And look at that. We started 46 minutes ago. The time is flying. So people are going to be like, Matt, where are the other videos that you told us you were making? And I'll be like, I kind of got distracted dog fooding Replit and making videos. So lots of stuff to do today, but we'll get there. We don't need this backwards compatibility. Chat, I think since I'm a streamer now, chat, the move here might be rebuilding this one. However, I do want to highlight where we got and what we built. And this is a better workflow. It's actually a product in some sense. I think, people sell this for $50 a month or something. And now I have it here for free, which is cool. And then, if we want to deploy this, just go over here to deployments. So I'll just use this checkpoint. I know it works. Just deploy that. UTM crafter Matt. That's fine. Notice something new here. Got our security scan. So what we're going to do now is check the app for security vulnerabilities before we deploy. So this app passed, which is nice. And, this is a complete security scan. There's some other apps out there. No names, not naming names. They say that they're scanning things for security. They're actually just looking at your settings. I won't say which external service they use to look at those settings because that would be giving it away. But we actually do a complete security scan using some open source tools. So it's pretty legit. Now, agent is doing crazy stuff. It's, we're pushing the database. So this is the other thing, right? This app I just deployed will probably break because we're making very extensive database migrations. One thing we're actually going to ship very soon is a separate prod and dev database. And so you'll be able to develop and have a production app simultaneously that have different data sources. That'll be really cool. That'll be out in the next couple of weeks. I also love it when agent writes scripts to do crazy stuff, like database migrations. Like that's kind of sick, honestly. Like it's just writing the scripts for me. Very cool. Boom, boom, boom. Now it dropped the presets table. RIP presets, gone. That's crazy. Give me a little checkpoint. Actually getting some nice, so what happened is I deployed the app and an agent stopped. I'm going to take that one back to the team. Agent shouldn't stop working just because we deployed because of exactly what I just did, being impatient. And this app is going to not work at all because I deleted the presets table. So just to verify, this is a complete Replit auth flow, by the way, if you're curious. Get a little redirect. I guess it kind of works. Okay, so well, I can't save presets. Now it'll work on the client-side components, and we should have a functioning app. I'm going to shut this guy down. But it's that simple. I don't know that I'm going to really add more value here if we keep walking through this. So we'll recap. Let's talk about what we got going on. Basically, end-to-end, what I did was I had this idea for a workflow. I was thinking about it. I got excited about it. I realized I hated this Google Sheet. I want to spend as little of my time in spreadsheets as possible. That has been a core tenet of my career for about the last 5 years. So we built a tool that allowed us to create, save, reaccess UTM params. And along the way, we learned something about the product. We learned something about how we think about data, how we think about the data structures behind UTM params, and what I consider actually to be a core data property and how I want the app to kind of flow from that data property. Along the way, I learned lessons about how agent works, some things that maybe we could even improve on the product side. Learned about starting over. Maybe I might just take this and start it over tomorrow. When I have some more free time. I have a flight on Friday, so if they have Wi-Fi, I might take another crack at it. Along the way, we learned all of these things about vibe coding, but that's the experience, failing, breaking stuff. And hopefully by watching this, you learned you don't have to be perfect. You just have to show up and have ideas and think critically about what you're building and think about how you can make your own life better. And from that, I bet if I shared this project with you all, once I get it finally completed, a lot of you will enjoy it. So this has been my little stream here, 0 to building, I don't know, a dub or whatever app you use to generate UTM parameters, a replacement for my own internal workflow that maybe I could sell as a product one day. But until next time, this is Matt with Replit, and thanks for tuning in. Peace.